Going on, folks? Welcome to Interview Preparation Strategies for Success. My name is Debbie Donato. I'm one of the employment advisors with Student Employment Services. And just real quickly, in case you're not familiar with what we do at Student Employment Services, we assist students and recent graduates with anything related to employment, and that includes job search, resumes, cover letters, and of course, the topic for this video, interviews. We also host employer events, and while we're observing physical distancing, these events are being held virtually. You will see these events advertised on our website, rrc.ca/ses, so check them out if you have not done so. We also administer the internal job board, Job Central, and only RRC students and graduates have access to this. So you can use Job Central even after you've completed your program for as long as Job Central is running. All you have to do is swap the academic email that is assigned to it with your personal email and you are good to go. If you have any questions or trouble accessing any of these resources, just reach out to us by sending us an email at ses@rrc.ca, or you can also go to our website and send us a message using the Contact Us page. For our agenda, we will look at what to expect and be prepared for when it comes to things that might or should happen at an interview, whether it's before, during, or after the interview, and what we can do for next steps after this presentation. So let's get started. First off, why do we even have to interview? Even though your resume shows everything that an employer wants or needs, an interview is an opportunity for you to prove to the employer that you are indeed all of the wonderful things you've highlighted in your resume. This is your chance to prove to the employer that you are the right candidate, the right fit for the position. If you're feeling nervous, that's totally fair. I've heard students say, Debbie, if I could just show the employer what I can do rather than being asked to talk about it, I would feel so much more confident in proving my skills. But the reality is, interviewing is part of the whole selection process for most professions. So, how can we feel more confident at interviews? Well, sometimes focusing on the fact that you got a call for an interview because the employer saw something in your resume, what you offer, that was interesting to them or that matched what they're looking for. For some, that's enough to give them a boost of confidence. Usually, it helps to be reminded that an interview is a two-way process in which both you and the interviewer are evaluating this potential employment agreement. Yes, you are applying for the position, but think about the fact that employers are also competing for talent like yours. Confidence may help you with feeling comfortable to show up at the interview, but what will help you stand out is the preparation. It's very similar to getting ready for a presentation or a test for your class, and you may feel more confident going into it when you know your material well. For an interview, it's not that different. So on to our agenda, starting with what we can do before the interview. Whether an interview is in person or a virtual interview, one-on-one or a panel, there's a few things that are common across the different interview formats in the way that we prepare for them. Number one, refresh. Let's refresh our memory about the position that we applied for and the organization that we are interviewing with. Review the requirements and the expectations of the job and prepare for questions that might come up. Remember, you are there to prove to them that you are the right candidate. And lastly, prepare your questions. We've talked about how an interview is a two-way street. Through your questions, you show interest, you show curiosity. Ask questions based on what you know about the company and get a better sense of the job responsibilities and priorities. Just be careful not to ask questions to which answers can be found online or on the job posting. Next up is collect. When you get that invitation for an interview, gather as much information as you can. Who will be interviewing you? Make sure you have the right date and time, verify where you have to report to, and ask what kind of interview it will be. Sometimes it helps to calm your nerves the day of the interview to know what kind of interview you're walking into. And the last item, set yourself up for success. Get enough rest so that you feel energized during the call. Don't interview while hungry. That can be distracting and it might be hard to focus. Dress for success. This is absolutely important for in-person and video calls, dressing professionally. It is a business meeting after all. By the way, especially if they have set up a video call, expect that they want to meet you with your camera on. Now, the materials, tools, technology that you might have to prepare, this might mean different things depending if it's an in-person or a virtual interview. For in-person interviews, portfolio, I'm sure you've all been doing so much work to put together your portfolios. Have that ready and accessible. Transportation. Are you taking the bus? Are you getting dropped off? Are you driving? Do you know how to get there? And if you're driving, Parking. Is there parking? Where is the parking? Do you need cash or a card to pay for parking? And even how long of a walk is it from the lot to the building? Your phone, making sure it's turned off or at least on silent to reduce distraction. And of course, masks. Some places might provide masks, but it's always best to be prepared with your own. For a virtual interview, your portfolio is still relevant here, but in addition, you may have to download the video conferencing application. You may have to set up your interview spot, check your background, lighting, sounds, noise level, and check if your notifications are turned off for your phone, emails, so that you're not distracted. Do all of these things ahead of time. I often would test the application a day before, and maybe that same day just in case, if I'm able to. Also, sometimes internet connection can be a disaster when everyone is at home and is using it. So maybe ask them not to play games or watch any kind of movies from Netflix during the call. Moving on to during the interview, we have 3 main things that we should be prepared for during the interview. First, let's be mindful of what kind of first impression we are leaving the employers with, regardless if it is in person or virtual. Be aware of your body language, try not to fidget, and pay attention to what your body is doing, what your face is saying, independent of the words that are coming out of your mouth. Eye contact. Whether it is in person or a virtual interview, eye contact will be important to show interest and that we are paying attention. And lastly, let's make a good first impression with everyone that we interact with. Let's show everyone respect and kindness, not just the interviewers themselves. When it comes to answering questions, the key reminder we have for this is to be prepared with examples. Focus on the positives and connect the dots. Explain why you are sharing the things that you are sharing, how you've proven it in the past, and how they are related to the position you're applying for. There are different types of interview questions. We have strength-based questions, competency-based questions, and hypothetical or case scenarios. Here are some reminders that we have when responding to these interview questions, starting with strength-based questions. We have these examples here where they're not exactly asking for a specific experience or they're not giving you a case scenario, but these are questions to get to know you a bit better. They want to know your style. For this type of question, the answer is about you, but also making sure that you relate it back to what the employer is looking for. So don't stop at just answering the question. Remember to explain your answer, why it's important, and let the employer know how you feel this would help you in the role that you're applying for. Next up, competency-based or behavioral descriptive questions. They usually start with the phrases, tell me about a time, give us an example of, describe a situation when, and they want specific examples of your experiences. So in telling our stories, remember to use the bar or star formulas, background action result, or situation task action result. Give the employer a brief background of the story, the breakdown of the situation and the task on hand, followed by giving the employer a rundown of actions that you took, and don't forget about the results. After taking those actions, what happened? What worked well? What did you learn from that experience? Or would you now do anything differently based on that experience? Using either one of these formulas can help us deliver a story that is clear, something that is easy to follow for the employer. Hypothetical questions. These are questions where employers give you a situation and ask how you would handle them. The focus here is to understand further how you would react to specific scenarios and situations that are probably going to be common or what you will encounter if they hired you. To answer hypothetical questions, we suggest to focus on 3 things. Express your understanding of the situation that they're presenting, answer the question what you would do in that particular situation, and of course, explain why that would be your course of action. And now about asking the employer questions. Earlier, we talked about preparing your questions to show curiosity and interest. Sometimes an employer will be so chatty and informative that they may be answering your prepared question unintentionally just from them sharing information during the interview. This is why we suggest for you to write down your questions on a piece of paper. So if this does happen, an employer says, do you have any questions for me? And you look at your list of questions and they've answered them all. What you can say is, you know what? I did have a list of questions for you, but you've been so informative that you've answered all of them. Thank you so much. You can even hold your paper up to have proof that you've came in prepared. Then you might even go back to one of those things that you found really interesting and make a comment about it. Have a quick discussion about it and maybe clarify a thought that they've shared. Moving on to after the interview, some of the reminders that we have here is to send thank you letters. Show appreciation for the time that you were given to interview and thank them for the information that they shared, the answers that they provided to the questions that you had. This is also why it's important we collect all of the information about who we're interviewing with so we know who to send it to. Reflect on your performance. Were there questions that you absolutely answered well, or were there questions that you might need to keep practicing on? While waiting for results, keep job searching. Some people say that they want to wait first for the result of their first interview before they apply for additional opportunities, just so they don't have that awkwardness of having to decline a job offer if they get one. You can choose to do this, but there's a chance that you're also missing out on other opportunities by not applying for them now. So where do we go from here? Look at different job postings, create potential interview questions based on the requirements listed. And then write down your answers. Make use of the formulas that we talked about today to put together your answers. And practice saying them out loud. Practice saying them from memory. Try not to sound scripted. Get to know your material well so that you can say it out loud naturally. As employment advisors, we can help you prepare for your upcoming interviews and give you feedback on your responses. And one last thing that I will say here is to be prepared with questions related to the pandemic. Things like, what have you learned about yourself during the pandemic? Let's start reflecting on our experiences related to COVID-19 and how we were able to move forward from these situations. That concludes this video. Contact us if you have any questions related to interviews or anything related to employment. Send us an email at ses@rrc.ca or go to our website rrc.ca/ses to book an appointment. Thank you for joining me today. Stay safe, everyone.